I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who's going to talk to us about how AI is changing the KM paradigm. Jeff Evernham is the Chief Strategist and Evangelist at Senequa. He is a thought leader in applying search, AI, LLMs, and RAG to solve business problems. So please welcome Jeff.
Thank you. Am I on? All right. Thank you. Good morning. We are running a few minutes behind, so I will just give you advance warning. I intend to take all of my 15 minutes, and I'm going to encourage you to stick around for the end because there's something that you will not want to miss, and then we'll head into the exhibit hall. So, good to be back at KM World. I've been doing this for a long time now. I'm with Senequa. You probably know us as the AI-powered search company. Obviously, that's changed to the AI-powered assistant company, and we will talk about that a little bit more. But I wanted to put together something that would benefit everyone. I've talked to people who have been here. This is their first time. They're new to this space. I've talked to people yesterday who this is their 14th KM World. And so they've seen the whole arc. But this arc of what's changing in KM is new. Of course, we know ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and there's a lot of other models too, like Mistral and Llama, but these are kind of the three big commercial ones. It doesn't really matter which one. The fact that these large language models have entered the scene has changed everything. And the way I like to look at it is it's so fundamental because up until this happened 2 years ago, if you wanted to talk to a computer, you had to learn how to speak computer. You had to learn C# or Java or Python or something like that if you really wanted to get deep into it. And now that has completely changed because computers have learned how to speak with us. And that's transformative. That transformation is fundamental. And I talk to a lot of people who are confused about all the stuff that's happened in the past 2 years, because a lot has happened. So I'm going to try to lay it out for you the way it makes sense to me. So generative AI hit the scene 2 years ago, and 2023 was a year of confusion. How do we get this amazing tool to work inside our company? It's great on external stuff, internet, public information, but how do I use it on the stuff inside my organization? And we realized that if we connect it to search in a process called retrieval-augmented generation, or RAG, you've heard a lot about that in the past 24 hours, the 48 hours, that gives us the ability now to use the power of these large language models on our own content. And we've pretty much understood now that this is the key foundation. This is going to stick around for a while. The technology is going to improve, but this isn't going away anytime soon. But this is just the first step. Because when we take that and now we add a workflow to it, we get an assistant. And it's now something that can take multiple steps and not just summarize search results, which is really powerful, but now it can actually help us along in our journey. And of course, if we add more capabilities to that, the ability to do stuff, we get into agents, because everybody's heard about agentic AI, because if you go to any website on the planet, it talks about agentic. That's the new thing. But this is real. This stuff is coming, and we have companies in various stages of development. And let's take a look at this journey in a little bit more detail. We have the generative AI paradigm. We all know how that works. You issue a prompt. It goes to, oh, the animation's catching up. Generative AI has read all this stuff off of the internet, and it comes back and it gives you a response. That's great, right? Until you ask it a question about something inside your organization, because it has never seen that content. It hasn't read it. So if you ask a question about something inside your company, it says, I don't know. Actually, that's the best case scenario, because these things are designed to answer questions, and there's a decent chance that it's just going to make something up and hallucinate, and that's the problem. So let's compare that with the search paradigm. Search, we all know how it works. You write a query, that goes into a search engine. The search engine has access to all of the content within your organization, and so it's able to come back with facts pulled directly from your content. And so you know it's right, you know it's good, but it takes a little more work to kind of process that. And if you know Synaqua, that's kind of the space that we've played in for a long time now. So if you're one of those who's been here for 14 years, you say, yeah, I know Synaqua. I'm going to say, no, you don't. Not only because things have changed so much in the last 2 years, but we were actually acquired on Monday by a data management platform company. So we have a lot more tools in our toolbox now than we used to before. So these are our two paradigms, generative AI and search. And what we figured out, like I said, with RAG, is that if we take that search paradigm and we interrupt it, and instead of sending the list of results to people, you send the list of results to the generative AI. And the generative AI reads it, summarizes the information, and gives a response back. And voila, we've solved all the problems that existed with either of these solutions separately. It's accurate, it's secure, it's trustworthy and traceable because you can see the citations, it stays up to date, and you can run it cost effectively at scale. But we're not done yet. This is just RAG. Remember, this is just the foundation. So now let's take the components that we do in RAG and let's put them into the assistant paradigm, the way we define it. So all those components are still there, but they're now in a different cycle, which is a process. We've put a workflow in place. And instead of the human doing the search process, the request comes in, the generative AI creates a plan. It figures out what information does it need, how is it going to get that, what are the steps that it needs to take. We select the results that we need, we can analyze it, make sure we got everything we needed. Is this comprehensive? Is there contradictory information here? Do we need to do something different? And then we can act. And it's going to build even more. Then we're going to take a step. And that step, if we have all the information we need, we can go ahead and do the response back to the employee and say we're done. But maybe we're not done. Maybe we need to execute the next step of the plan. Maybe we need to perform another search and get additional information. So we've performed the full cycle, and when we're fully done, we can come back and suggest next steps to the employee to take. Now you can take your pictures. So this is the assistant paradigm. You'll find different definitions of assistant and agent all over the place. This is what the framework that we are building, and an agent just means it actually does stuff on top of this process. So what does that mean? We can converse with our content. I've got some screenshots here. They are from some of our customers' things, but all the information is public, so I'm not disclosing anything. So here's a question. We ask a question, and instead of getting 10 search results, we get an immediate answer to our question right at the top. We can dive in deeper with more detail. We have citations and the source material, so we can immediately get to the information we want. And the best part, which I don't even show here, is you ask follow-up questions. It's an interactive engagement. So, why is this such a big deal? Why is this such a new paradigm? Well, I'm going to propose to you that while you have definitely heard, the search is terrible, or the knowledge isn't curated enough, or the systems aren't together, or whatever the problem may be, I'm going to propose to you that one of the big problems we're dealing with in this whole KM enterprise is ourselves. Think about the search results. We scan the results list. No way we're going to the second page, past 10. We've got stuff in our head about where information lives or things, and we expect the system to know that just magically because we know it. We are really only going to process one query at a time. We're probably not even going to write a good query because we don't know all the performance capabilities of the system. Well, guess what? Generative AI has a solution for these things when we do the assistant. Generative AI is going to carefully read everything we send it, whether it's 10, 25, 100 links. There's no real limit. I mean, yeah, it costs a little bit more, but costs are dropping down. And it can leverage the context that we have. We can tell it that all the HR policies are in this repository. The engineering documents are over here. The research notes for drugs are in our electronic lab notebooks over here. So it can perform a smart search based on that context, and based on the words that you put in, it's going to figure out what you're actually looking for. And so it's going to send multiple queries now. You're not limited to just one request. Multiple queries to different systems. They're going to be good queries because you can train it on how to use that system. And if you do something wrong or limited, it can actually guide the employee. So no more that, well, I tried searching and it didn't work. It can actually guide you. So we tend to think, or we at least historically have thought of search of, yeah, I need to do a search to find that old email I wrote, and this is such a simple search, I don't know why I can't find it. It's probably because I'm using the wrong words, but that's not what we're talking about now. When we do work, we do many things. And we are now able to have a system that helps us do all of these things, to do all of this work. It's not just a simple little search paradigm anymore. We have a coworker who can help us get our work done. So here's an example for comprehensive searches. User types in, is Ibrance safe? Ibrance is a drug. Well, that's a dumb question. Of course it's safer. It wouldn't be approved by the FDA and on the market, right? What you really want to know is, what are the side effects? So the search says, hey, I'm going to run a search for Ibrance side effects, Ibrance safety, Ibrance adverse reactions. I'm going to run these multiple searches. The first one, I find 5 documents. Second one, third one, fourth one, each finds 4 documents, but they're not necessarily the same. So now we can pull all of these together into a superset of 10 documents and tell the generative AI to go pull all of this content. So now nothing's missing, and you have a comprehensive search every time. I mentioned you can guide the employee. Here's a situation. I need to do a transport of a lithium battery. Well, okay, that's fine, but I need a little more information. Where do you want to transport it to? Because I need to look up the regs for that. What type are we doing? And then you answer the question, and it can now find the UN numbers to do the transportation for that. You can really look at everything. This is a consolidated view built from AI. So you're looking for information on EV sales. You get the quick answer from the AI overview. You can immediately identify projects or deals that are associated with that. Look at who the experts in the organization are. Get detailed information so you can go deeper if necessary. And of course, you always have access to the source content. And this kind of thing we've been trying to do for a long time, but it's really hard to stitch together. And generative AI with the assistant paradigm brings it all together for us. So we're building these things for a lot of different organizations. And I said I was going to talk about what's new and what's next. What's next is multimodal. We work with a lot of engineering companies, design firms like NASA, Northrop Grumman, Siemens, and they're constantly asking us, hey, I need to be able to make use of pictures, images inside documents, CAD files, et cetera. And so we are working on a multimodal. This will be released in Q1, and we can use the power not of the large language models, but of the foundation models. So here we're looking for batteries. Let me turn up the volume. And we want to know what are the different kinds of batteries that we have and how do we stack them. And you can see we're getting the typical answer that we normally get, but the citations are images. And so now it can tell us here are the different kinds of batteries and their pros and cons, and even located.
Stack a cell. In detail, they are just picking cells like this type.
Where we
and
stack
then they
them.
stack it together to a bunch of cells, and then we go on and process them further.
So that's part of what's next, is it doesn't matter what kind of content you have. It doesn't matter whether it's engineering drawings or chemical compounds in the life sciences, or even images on PowerPoints. Have you ever tried to search for a PowerPoint slide and you can't find it because it's mostly a diagram? We are on the verge of solving that problem. And so I want to wrap up with a little fun exercise. Who's heard of UDO or Suno? A handful of you. Okay, so UDO and Suno are two, there are many more, generative AIs that create songs, create music. And so I said, you know what, I want to draw an analogy here. So last night in my hotel room, I sat down and I said, hey, ChatGPT, read this. Take this entire document. There's a lot in here. I said, and I gave it this prompt, and I want you to create some lyrics, because I wanted to actually see the lyrics before I put it into Suno. And then I told Suno, I said, hey, give me a song in the style of 1980s pop. And this is what came out a few minutes later, and it's not going to win any awards, believe me. But the fact that this is even possible with a couple prompts, and out comes this.
In the heart of DC, where knowledge thrives, KM World 2024 arrives. Generative AI, the talk of the town, is turning KM upside
I'm
down.
crazy, right?
AI is driving the new paradigm. KM transform, up we will climb.
This is the chorus.
KM World, the future's in sight. Embracing AI, we're reaching new heights.
So yeah, this goes on, and what does AI generated music have to do with a paradigm change at KM World? Well, you may think not much. I actually think there's more than that, but I don't want you to miss the final verse. I liked it a lot.
Turning raw data into insights that glow. AI is driving.
Okay, we're still not to the final yet, but it is different because this is a huge new paradigm for music. So imagine,
Future's in sight.
well, I'll take the 20 seconds and let you hear the last verse because I think it's cool.
No longer just data, it's knowledge we gain. And AI's the engine, powering the train. So here's to the thinkers, the dreamers, the doers.
That's you.
It all happened here at KM World.
So that's the finish. But what does this have to do with a paradigm change? So today we walk around with a playlist, right? Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. The new paradigm that's coming is you don't have a playlist. When your song finishes, it generates a new song for you, live, based on your preferences, your history, your likes, the style that you prefer, and maybe even the mood you're in at that moment. That's almost here. And that's a big paradigm change for music, but we're going through the same paradigm change within knowledge management. We are able to do things that we've only been able to dream before by combining the understanding of language with the tools that we already have. So that's the paradigm I wanted to leave you with. We are Cinequa, and we'd be happy to talk to you more in the exhibit hall. So enjoy the rest of the conference.